Coming up tonight on the news at 5, Governor Bullock and state health officials express rising concerns over recent spikes in COVID cases. Plus, where and when to drop off your mail ballot if you haven't mailed it yet.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
Good afternoon and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Jessica Nelson. Thank you for joining us. Today, Montana reached 10,000 active COVID cases in the state, 4,000 of which were added in just the last week alone. Governor Steve Bullock held a COVID press conference earlier this morning with health experts to address rising cases, business compliance, and upcoming holiday celebrations. MTN's John Riley has more.
Montana joins 46 other states this week in seeing a rise in COVID cases and more hospitalizations and deaths associated with the virus.
This virus has already brought death to over 300 Montanans. As we know, there's a delay in incubation periods, which means we're only going to see our hospitals continue to be stretched.
Bullock says it's going to take Montanans working together, wearing masks and social distancing in order to stop the spread. Last week, the state announced a consumer complaint form where people could submit concerns about businesses not following COVID mandates. As of Tuesday, the state had received 1,300 submissions from 40 counties.
What was encouraging after reviewing these was that there wasn't one comment that we received that was attacking a business or overly negative about the business. Most of the comments were very constructive, and they were basically expressing concern about their own health, health of the customers, health of the workers, and their own coworkers.
With the holiday season right around the corner, the state also stressed the importance of people following guidelines and making plans to help limit the spread.
We're not going to take your holidays away, but what we want to try to do is encourage folks to be diligent and to do these things safely so that we can still continue to celebrate the holidays with our loved ones.
For Halloween, people are encouraged to incorporate a mask as part of their costume and avoid large parties. Trick-or-treaters are asked to stay home if they're sick or if they've been asked to quarantine by local public health. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
And this just in, 12 new COVID-19 related deaths reported in Cascade County. That brings the statewide total to 342 deaths. Now, these deaths have occurred since October 15th. The state reported 855 new COVID-19 cases today, bringing the total to just under 30,000 cases. Just over 9,000 of those cases are active. 350 people are currently hospitalized with the virus. It's important to keep in mind MTN numbers do vary from those reported by state officials because we track data from the state and local health departments to give you the most up-to-date information available. Lewis and Clark County reported 80 new cases of the virus today, more than double the previous high. That brings the total number of active cases in the county to 676, with 5 people currently hospitalized. Cases have been climbing steadily in the county since mid-September. According to Public Health, many of the new cases are community spread and tied to employees knowingly going to work while showing symptoms or waiting for a COVID test result. Health officials say in some cases, employers have asked workers to return knowing they were close contacts to a positive case. The health department created guidance to help employers respond to a COVID positive employee. It starts with the notification and investigation. Cases are isolated until cleared to return to normal activities by the public health nurse. Close contacts are notified by public health and ordered to quarantine for 14 days after the last exposure date. It is the responsibility of public health, not a business, to notify both confirmed COVID-19 cases and their close contacts. A business's ability to operate after a case or close contact depends on the number of close contacts in quarantine and availability of staff. Public Health says these are the actions businesses can take if any employee becomes sick. Wait 24 hours after the sick employee has been in the facility before you clean or disinfect. Open outside windows and doors to circulate air. If it has been fewer than 7 days since the employee has been at work, close off areas used by that employee. If it has been more than 7 days, additional cleaning and disinfecting is not necessary. right, time now for a check of our forecast. Curtis is off tonight, but we have another Curtis filling in. What can you tell us, Sandy Curtis?
I can tell you that it's looking a lot better out there today. Taking a live look at Mac Pass, for example. Roads looking pretty good from here at least. Now, of course, be careful when driving over any of the passes here in the state. Wind is still an issue in some areas. That could be blowing snow across the road, and there could be some icy patches that you don't quite see even though the sun's out. But other than that, things are looking pretty good and pretty dry and calm across Montana. Look at that beautiful sight on the radar right now. Nothing in the sky at the moment. And we're looking pretty good for the next couple of days. We have a heat wave on our hands, folks. That means temperatures up to, get ready for this, 50 degrees tomorrow. We could even be pushing 60 and a little bit higher as we get closer to the weekend. A nice weekend for Halloween, at least compared to last weekend. Should be dry, at least in the air, and a little bit warmer. And here's your reminder to set those clocks back on Saturday night, Sunday morning. I'll go into more detail on all that coming up in the full forecast.
Thanks, Andy. 2020 marked the first year since the late 1800s that Montana did not hold an organized horse racing event, but plans are moving forward for a return to the track. Cascade County Commissioners approved an agreement with the Great Falls Turf Club that will see the races return to the Expo Park for 5 days in the summer of 2021. The contract calls for the county to contribute $65,000 towards the event, which drew over 10,000 fans in 2019. Commissioners and organizers are pleased to be moving forward with the yearly tradition.
We may have a vaccine and we may be changing and doing business a little bit more normally next summer. So thank you for looking ahead and planning ahead, because we need to be doing that in a proactive way.
I'm sitting here kind of a little bit proud of what we're doing together as a community. You know, I watch around the state, and that's not exactly what's going on in other areas.
Commissioners also approved an agreement with Big Sky Pro Rodeo Roundup. Well, the investigation into the death of a Great Falls woman who had been missing for almost 2 weeks continues. Cascade County Sheriff Jesse Slaughter held a virtual news conference today to address Sally Smith's death. Smith, who is from Great Falls, was found dead in her car in a storage locker in Cascade County earlier this month. Slaughter said he understands people are frustrated by the lack of information about the investigation. He also said it's too early to make any conclusions, especially because the autopsy results have not yet come back.
With this job, you trust me to do the right thing and to release the right information. It's really important to me that I don't violate that trust and rush a media release, which later I may have to recant or change, and then create a lack of trust.
Slaughter said it's also too early to release any information about the investigation into the death of Brendan Rollins. Rollins died while hiking in Sluiceboxes State Park over the weekend. When we come back, Andy Curtis breaks down the full forecast for us, and later, if you haven't yet mailed in your ballots, don't. I'll tell you when and where to drop it off in person.
Welcome back, everybody. Andy Curtis filling in for Curtis Grevenitz today. And once again, Mr. Grevenitz picked a beautiful day to take the day off because not a lot going on across the state, which makes my job a whole heck of a lot easier. Taking a look at the temperature in Great Falls right now, 42 degrees, feels awesome. It should feel awesome, that is. That wind is, surprise, surprise, whipping pretty good, 26 miles per hour around the Electric City right now. That means it feels like 32 degrees, but 32 degrees feels downright balmy with the sun compared to last weekend and the temperatures we were seeing. Take a trip down south to the capital city, 36 degrees there. Wind not too bad, about 3 miles per hour, so it feels like 36, a lot calmer around Helena, and calmer in certain parts of the states around Helena, but some windier areas around Great Falls, as you could probably expect. So taking a look at the temperatures, we're in the 40s up to the north and a little bit to the west, 36 in Kalispell, but that wind is knocking down that temperature. So it says 40, but with the wind speeds, 26, 38 up in Cut Bank, 17 in Havre, Lewistown 16. It's making it feel a little closer to freezing and below. And that wind's not going to go anywhere just yet in those parts of the state. Handy dandy future tracker, wind tracker here, and take a look at the color coordination. Purple means close to 60 miles per hour, and you see a whole lot of purple on the map tonight, and a little less into tomorrow morning. Things start to calm down across Montana as we head into Wednesday afternoon, but still a decent amount of wind in some spots. Nothing too crazy except for up along the Rocky Mountain front. You can see a lot of purple and red. And I'll jump into that a little more detail in just a second. But that wind's coming and going, coming back in full force on Thursday, pushing into that purple area. We're going to see wind speeds in the high 30s and 40s for sure up around that area north of Great Falls. But here's what I was just mentioning. The strongest wind was by the Rocky Mountain front, and we're under a high wind watch, strong winds, gusts 60 to 75 miles per hour in areas. That sustained wind 35 to 45 all through the usual suspects, Cut Bank, Augusta, Teton Pass, St. Mary's. Hold on to your hats if you're up there, so there's no snow falling on the ground and the sun's out, but that wind is making it less than ideal to spend a whole lot of time outside. Now you take a trip over the range there and things are the opposites. Absolutely, well, close to absolutely no wind in a lot of the western part of the state. Air is very stagnant over here, and the issue with that is now with especially these colder temperatures, a lot of people wood-burning stoves, that air's not going anywhere, so all those particles are just staying where they are. That means air quality, Missoula, Kalispell, all the way out to the border, not the best right now, and that's going to be the case up until Thursday. So windy on one side, not windy on the other side, but across the state, it's calm. Not a lot coming on, not a lot going on, not a lot coming down. No rain, no snow, no sleet. Temperatures are looking pretty good too, so we've just got that wind to worry about for the next couple of days, depending on where you are across Montana. So Future Tracker, you can see no more real storm systems that we have to worry about. Those are skirting us, just staying up into the Canadian area. And we get a little bit of rain and maybe some snow up higher on Friday, but it might not reach over the Continental Divide there. Taking a real quick look at the 7-day forecast for Great Falls. Temperatures are rising. We're going to be in the 50s, high 40s, plenty of sunshine. Wind is, again, the only issue, still being gusty. Pretty strong winds, 43 miles per hour at the high end of things on Friday, but this weekend's looking pretty good in the Electric City. And in Helena, temperatures almost cookie cutter, high 50s, low 50s, high 40s as well, so plenty of sunshine. Should be a pretty good weekend for trick-or-treating. Should be pretty warm and somewhat calm.
That's right. I also hear that at the Andy Curtis house, they have king-size candy bars for trick-or-treaters. So
Lies!
You might want to head over there first. All right, well, there is now 1 week left for Montana voters to turn in their general election ballots. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian has more.
While hundreds of thousands of Montanans have already voted by mail, there's something like 200,000 ballots still out there. With 1 week left in the election, officials say if you haven't mailed your ballot back already, your best option is to drop it off in person.
Just to be on the safe side, we do recommend that it's dropped off.
Ballots must be received at your county elections office by 8 p.m. on Election Day in order to be counted. Most counties are accepting ballots in person at the elections office or another location. In Lewis and Clark County, there is one drop box inside the city-county building and a drive-through drop-off across the street. On Election Day, some counties will set up additional ballot boxes in other communities. Tuesday was also the first day of late voter registration. Those who still haven't registered now have to go in person to fill out the form and get a ballot. In larger counties, state law allows officials to remove ballots from their envelopes and securely store them starting the end of this week. They can start running the ballots through the machines on Monday. With so many of the ballots already mailed in, election officials are hopeful they can have much of the counting finished before the 8 p.m. deadline. In previous years, it's taken more than a full day to finish counting Lewis and Clark County's ballots.
So with it being just a one-page ballot front and back, I'm hoping that with Monday and then Tuesday, I would expect to be here past midnight, but hopefully not a 36-hour shift.
Now here in Lewis and Clark County, election officials say if they get the kind of turnout they usually see on Election Day, people may have to line up outside the building because of social distancing. They're encouraging those who want to come down here for late registration or to get a new ballot to do so this week if they can. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
To get more information on where and how you can drop off your ballot, you need to contact your county elections office. You can also find more information on our website. All right, coming up next, one classroom is getting creative on how to avoid COVID-19. Stay with us for the full story.
Montana's news leader. You're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back with us. COVID cases are spiking across the country and forcing schools to once again return to virtual learning. But one school is keeping in-person learning safe by moving their classes outdoors.
It is easy out here to forget. A momentary escape from a year where beauty has often been hard to come by.
Last one out closes the door.
For students at James Faulkner Elementary, the walk to school this year looks a little different.
This is 80 and 30.
Like teachers across the country, anxiety was filling the inside of Jackie Cornwell's mind all summer.
Am I done? What did I forget?
So she decided to roll the dice and move her lessons outside.
We do know that COVID has been a really challenging time for adults and kids.
110?
Every day, for 3 hours a day, Jackie Cornwell's 3rd and 4th graders set up their classroom in the woods.
Adding it all together, I got 311 trading cards.
Trading cards.
Away from the confines of their school building, this outdoor classroom has brought a sense of normalcy and safety.
Being outdoors is another layer of protection.
The New Hampshire air is plentiful out here. No concerns about ventilation.
It might seem really easy to you, but this skill is tricky.
Jackie Cornwell has also realized the beauty of Mother Nature's palette has helped foster a better learning environment.
It's really turned something that could have made this year really horrible, sitting in desks, facing forward, not playing with friends, into one of the best years I've had in my 9 years of teaching.
And while these outdoor classrooms are helping keep students safe from COVID, it's also helping with their mental health during some incredibly challenging times.
A speech.
Dozens of states are returning to virtual learning because of spikes in COVID cases.
Okay.
Even out here, removed from the world, Bree Bell worries about being sent home again.
It wasn't normal. I was really I didn't like it too much because at my house we don't have very good internet, so it's hard.
But this 10-year-old and her classmates have taken pride in the outdoor space they've built by hand. They've hung hammocks for reading time, even built a fire pit for the colder months.
It's really nice to finally get to take our mask off and chill in the woods with some nice fresh air.
While we're here and while we can be together, we're gonna make the best of it.
If COVID has taught these students and teachers anything, it's resiliency.
Hopefully this is the year they'll remember as when they got to learn outside versus this is when they went to school during COVID. And they're happy, really.
In a year like this, a lesson worth remembering.
I feel like they're really having these impactful experiences that they're going to carry with them for the rest of their lives. Does that sound good?
In Stoddard, New Hampshire, I'm Chris Conti.
Awesome.
Definitely a classroom I look like I would enjoy, although here in Montana, probably a little too cold for that right now. Andy's going to give us one last look at the 7-day forecast right after the break.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Home Depot wants people to get an early start on their holiday shopping. In an effort to reduce store crowding during the pandemic, the company has already announced their Black Friday sales. Now, the deals start November 6th and run through December 2nd. There are no doorbusters the day after Thanksgiving, and the company says customers can look at the deals now through the Home Depot app. The sale prices are both the same in-store and online.
And taking a final look at that weather 7-day forecast, you can see temperatures on the upswing. Actually heading into next week. This weekend looks like it should be pretty nice from a temperature standpoint. High 40s, plenty of sunshine. Nice Halloween, still a lot of snow on the ground. Maybe a little sloppy for trick-or-treating, but should be warmer than last weekend, which is a huge plus up in Great Falls. Difference here, a little bit more wind, but temperatures are still in the 50s and high 40s, and plenty of sunshine heading into the weekend.
That's right, I'm heading to your house for trick-or-treating for that king-size candy bar. That's all for us this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your night.